All right. So here's the thing. How easy is it for us to spot someone who is going through an identity crisis, who is struggling with understanding who they are, right? And it's a lot more simple than what we all may think, right? So, first thing, here's the importance of understanding who you are, where you come from culturally, where your family come from. Um, you know, when we can understand these things about where we come from. For example, your father was a carpenter, your father before him was a carpenter, your father before him was a carpenter. Your greatest, you have a history of carpentry in your family. There's no mistaking the possibility of you going into carpentry, right? Because your lineage is in carpentry. Understand? So in there's let's say your family was a Baptist, your father was a Baptist preacher, your family before your father before that was a Baptist preacher, and and you have a history of men that are Baptist preachers. There is no doubt that there's a strong possibility you're going to be a Baptist preacher. You get what I'm saying? There is a knowledge that's passed down, right? There is an understanding that's passed down. There is a tradition that's passed down. There's a heritage that's passed down from generation to generation. Get what I'm saying? So let's take it a little bit deeper. When we say Arab, right? When we say the word Arab, immediately a picture of what an Arab looks like comes to mind. When we say Asian, a picture of an Asian person comes to mind. When we say Mexican, a picture of a Mexican person, right? When we say Arab or Asian or Indian religion, right? All of that comes to mind. When we even mention their food, it all comes to mind. That picture of what it looks like comes to mind, right? When we say black, right? What comes to mind? There's an idea of, or a history. There's an idea based on a history of what black is, based on American history. Understand what I'm saying? And here's how we can identify those of us who do not connect with our culture and what our history and what our understanding is, right? It comes across in the way we look. You understand what I'm saying? It comes across even before speaking to someone. It comes across in how we look. And you can see the confusion because it comes across in different color hairs. It comes across in we're all observing different um, uh, religions. We're all um, observing in these different holidays that's not necessarily ours, right? We're different color hair, tons of tattoos, following trends, right? It comes across in a whole bunch of mixture of things. And we can see and we can see where it comes from once we start talking to whoever it is we may be talking to, right? They believe a whole different hodgepodge of things. They believe and see a whole different mixture of things. And then we become confused because, one, and this is probably the most important thing, we lack a foundational understanding of who we are. You get what I'm saying? We cannot identify with a singular thing spiritually. We cannot identify with a singular thing look wise. We cannot identify where we even come from. Case in point, when black people start to awaken, the first thing they run to is Egyptology. Right? It's the easiest thing. Why? Because it's been taught in school. They don't really teach us anything else, especially when I was a kid, right? Egypt was the number one thing as far as black culture we were taught, right? And besides all the other Americanized ways of black culture was taught. Understand? Inventors and slavery and all that other shit, whatever. All right. But we can identify a confused mind based on the way we look. You get what I'm saying? And it's because we have no, like I said, no foundational understanding of who we are. When you see a guy or girl walking down the street, that's well put together, that's could be covered up, could be well dressed, and all these things, we have an assumption of what they look like, and we can tell, not assumption of what they look like, but an assumption or an idea of where they come from, right? We think, oh, this person is well put together. This person, looks decent, looks professional, looks things like that. And when we talk to them, a lot of the times, they have a really decent upbringing, 2-parent household, good school, all this other stuff. I'm not saying that's the case for everyone, but it could be the case for a lot. But then when we walk through neighborhoods where fatherlessness is prevalent, and mothers not necessarily been in the home but out working and having to take care of a lot of things, right? We start to see a change in behavior and a change in the way we look, right? And that's where the different color hairs and tattoos and baggy clothes and all this shit, because we're being raised by an idea of what our culture is without really doing any in-depth research on who we are. You get what I'm saying? And so when we look at, for example, we look at a person like Sexy Red. We look at a person like who else? Lil Boosie and all these people out here, all these popular cultures. We're looking to them to try to identify with something. You get what I'm saying? And because we watch so much television and because we're so influenced by social media, we begin to take on these things as, well, this must be my culture. This must be who I am, right? And we are this way is because we're disconnected with the one thing that makes us who we are. We're disconnected with the one thing who gives us rules and guidelines and understanding to who we are as a people. You understand what I'm saying? When you see Arabs and Asians and Indians and all these people put on, like, for example, a religious garment, you already have an idea of what they are, of what they observe by the way they look. Why is it we don't really have that? As black people, as a culture that's lost, right? We have to somehow understand that we are lost and understand that we must be found. You get what I'm saying? And that starts with first understanding where you come from. If you don't have a father in your life, let's start there. Because once you start understanding that a physical father not being around alters your understanding, and it alters your direction in life, and it alters your belief and your look, and it alters a lot of things, because a father knows boundaries and he gives guidelines on how a man should act, how a woman should act, how a man should dress, how a woman should dress. All these things, as well as spiritual understanding, right? And so when we connect with our Father first, more than likely, when we start connecting with our natural father first, more than likely we'll have a further understanding of who we are, and we'll start connecting with who our spiritual father is. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of the confusion comes from us being disassociated and losing our cultural heritage. You understand what I'm saying? And I got a video coming out that I'm going to expound on that a lot more about. But anyway, let me know what y'all think. I holla.